I recently got a question from a higher ed leader about this movement of leaders from an internal focus to an external focus. And the question was clearly coming from someone who had experienced a situation where this had gone awry. And that does happen. And leaders moving from an internal focus to an external focus is actually very healthy and necessary in many leadership evolutions. So today I want to talk about this move from internal focus to external focus and how we can do it right in a way that is healthy and serves the leaders in the organization, and also how it can go sideways so we can avoid that from happening. When a leader begins a new role, it's often very appropriate to focus internally, to understand the operation, to understand the people. Yeah, are people in the right places doing the right things? Who's competent, who's not, who has potential, who's in a right fit, who's not. We have to understand the systems, the priorities, the culture. We really want to understand all of those things. And that's often where a new leader wants to begin. Over time, however, when a leader really has a handle on that, develops the people, understands the priorities, can really run the operation very well, they want to start to shift into a little bit more external. This can happen at every level. A director who manages a department and then starts to look at how the department interacts with all the other departments. It can happen a VP who really manages the operations of the division and then starts to move to the cabinet, fundraising, external focus, things like that. There's also often a time of internal focus, a time of external focus, and in between, a bit of shared focus where some of the role is internal and some of it's external. We're turning over some things to an internal leader and letting other things stay with us. So this is all very much a natural part of the leadership evolution. Some of the benefits of this evolution is the internal leader gets to step into this new role, gets to try on the leadership of the entity, whether it's a department or a division. It can be a really professional developing experience and can give them some renewed sense of purpose in the new role. It can really help the leader who was internal focus and now is facing externally really bring their understanding to a larger platform, make a bigger difference, do some of the integration with that, and can give them renewed energy in a leadership role after a number of years so it's not stale. When this is done well, the internal operations continue to really hum at a high level with some renewed energy and focus and new ideas coming into the organization. Another critical piece of this is it can line up a succession plan. You can see how a new leader would focus internally, identify someone who could take that over, focusing internally while they begin to focus externally. And when they move on to another place or another role or an elevated role, that internal leader is now ready to take that on, continue leading internally for some time, and then themselves start to move externally and identify a new internal leader to do that. There's a few situations where this can go sideways. The first is when the leader never takes the time to really do the internal leadership. They kind of skip over the internal focus because they're so excited about the external and connecting and all the interconnections. You have to really understand the operation that you're leading very well, inside and out at every level. If you skip over that, then you're not going to be able to lead from a distance, which is really what's needed. Another thing that can go sideways is we don't identify a competent and capable internal leader. Or we identify someone who's capable, but we do not train, we do not trust, and we do not empower them. We do not make it clear things have shifted. I'll be focused here. They're going to be focused here. If you need this, go to them. If you need this, come to me. Another thing that can go sideways is when the leader wants to talk about this transition and this evolution of leadership with all the right language, but really what they're doing is they're avoiding and abdicating their leadership role. They're not moving on to some other focus. They're just tired of doing what they're doing and want someone else to do it while they focus on other things or don't focus on other things. Another way this can go sideways is when this is not articulated and made explicit. You really have to have a clear plan so that everybody knows this is what's happening, this is how we're going to do it, this is the pathway when it doesn't go well, and it's never going to go well all the time. Here's what we're going to do, here's how we can communicate. So you really need a good plan for the shift, the shared, and how we're going to continue and how you're going to continue to evaluate that plan. And finally, one of the ways this can go sideways is with the new internal leader who's stepping into that role, who isn't really as interested in serving and doing the internal leadership, and they're just more interested in their own ascension to this role and the next role and the next role. Leadership isn't about you, it's not about your ego. It's about being of service to the people we lead. So, a couple of questions for leaders to think about. Where am I at? Am I focused internally? Am I focused externally? Or I'm in the middle where it's really shared in a mix of both? When would be the right time for me to make this shift from internal to external? If I anticipate making that shift in the near future, who might be a capable and competent internal leader, and how do I begin preparing them and the organization for that? How will we communicate this through the organization before, during, and as a follow-up? How are we going to communicate regularly and often throughout this? And how are we going to continue to assess this? This might go well for 6 months and then go poorly. Might go well for 2 years and then go poorly. As the people shift, as the organization shift, as the challenges we face shifts, we're going to need to continue to assess and adjust in an ongoing way. I love questions like this from leaders that I get to work with, and I love being able to think through them, share the broad perspective I have while working with so many higher education leaders. If you have questions like this that you're curious about, that maybe is playing out in your context, but you'd like a broader perspective, send me a note. I'd love to connect and love to share what we can learn together.